What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of The Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of Web3 and gaming culture. I'm your host and NFT ambassador, Jim Kieran, and today we have a new panel lined up for you. So grab your controller, crack open a Mountain Dew, and prepare to get your game on. Beep. Hey there, sauce enthusiasts! Welcome back to another episode of The Block Sauce. So, as you can see, we have some new faces, and you know how we are with new faces over here. I gotta take time. If you don't know who Mikhail is, you know the spiel. You're living under a rock. Go watch our previous episodes. We'll get to you in just a second. Justin from Onekin Labs, wearing the Onekin Labs hoodie. I got my Block Sauce beanie on. We repping the merch today. How are you doing today, Justin?
Fantastic. I've been looking forward to this since you invited me on yesterday. So
all 24 hours.
I think I gave you a little more notice than yesterday. No, maybe I didn't. I had to go check the DMs.
Yeah.
Oh man. We tried to get this done and scheduled earlier in the week. I apologize if it was too short notice, but in the future, you'll have more than 24 hours, I promise.
I will drop everything going on in my life to join you, Jinky.
Oh, I appreciate you. And we also have Cats. Cats, I've seen you in the space everywhere. As far as I'm aware, you're just a Web3 gamer, right? Like, you don't have anything crazy going on? No?
I'm actually a founder.
Oh! Do tell, because this is news to me.
Oh, see, I don't like talking too much about it because I like being under the radar.
Oh, well, we'll keep it that way if you want. Otherwise, you could tell us, just drop a name, drop what you're working, game, comic, art.
Long story short, my vision is to be the Steve Jobs of Web3 minus the asshole part.
Oh my God, I love the ambition though.
Yeah.
Oh man, they shoot for the stars. He said, "Screw the stars. I'm going to the next galaxy." Hell yeah, I love it. And Mikhail, how are you doing today? We all know hopefully who you are, but tell us anyway.
I'm just happy to be here. I have so much fun on these. I hate when I can't make them or like when other people like sign up before me and I'm like, no, it's my favorite time of the week. But I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome,
you guys know who I am.
And if you guys don't know me, obviously I'm Jim Kieran. I'm the host and I play a lot of games. Web 2, Web 3 doesn't matter. I play games. So we have two founders and Mikhail who works for people.
I'm not telling. We're a co-founder, but we're being acquired. So
I keep trying to get her to spill the beans, and it doesn't work every week. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we do have some pretty interesting topics. I want to go ahead and get this one out of the way because we have talked about them. I think this will be week 3. Shrapnel just had their first play test for the founders packs, not their NFT holders, but the actual open. Anybody can buy these, $20 to $100. Essentially, much more accessible for the Web 2 audience. And I don't know how much you guys are aware. I was there from day one. I played through the entire play test. I initially said I wasn't going to, but once I finally got my feet on the ground and played the game, I canceled my plans. I am not kidding you. I told my World of Warcraft guild, sorry guys, this play test is happening this weekend. I put everything off and I was a skeptic. So that impressed me. But what blew my mind was the first day they launched it, crazy amounts of issues. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying the issues stemmed from too many people trying to play it. They had over 20,000 concurrent players. They crashed the matchmaking system. They're using the same matchmaking provider that Payday 3 did. And I was in the Discord listening to the devs kind of tell us what was going on and stuff. They assumed that because it was a Web3 game, they weren't going to have a large audience and did not allocate the appropriate resources to accommodate. That is impressive. I'm just saying over 20,000 concurrent players, real players in a Web3 game. We're making it. This is bullish.
Yeah. like a moment we've all been waiting for, right? Like there's been a lot of like expectation about Shrapnel, and it feels so good. Like, first of all, congrats to the entire team. They've done a fantastic job from start to finish, but it feels so good. I'm sure they feel better than us, but to have a game come out and start to be a success, we're like, okay, we're not all totally crazy. This might actually work. So yeah, just kudos to the team. I saw your tweets too, your strategy tweets over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to Jinky for all the alpha. If you need Shrapnel strategy tweets, I think he's got it down.
I mean, I went up the leaderboard fairly quick. I went from because obviously, like I said, first day there were a bunch of issues, so they kind of had to do a leaderboard reset. But I went from the bottom to top 3,000, and that wasn't even playing. I wasn't playing the objective because I told everybody I don't care about the leaderboard or anything like that. I wanted to learn the game mechanics. I wanted to find the bugs. I wanted to provide quality feedback. I did not care about making money on this playtest whatsoever. The leaderboard was not in my mind until after everything. I was just kind of curious, like, where did I rank? Just playing it the way that I did. And I did fairly well. So, if I get sweaty in it, you guys better watch out.
No, this is, as someone, I've spent 20 years in game development on the Web 2 side. Like, this is freaking fantastic. Like, yes, there was issues at the start. Like, that's fantastic too. That gives your back-end engineering team time to figure out what went wrong, what went right, figure out server scalability, figure out your CCU plans. Like, this is like, I'm like, I hate saying it, but like, I'm glad they had issues, because now, like, they learned from it, they move forward from it. The game was fantastic to play. I realized how just piss poor I am at first-person shooters, especially playing mouse and keyboard. But I thought that the game was great. I thought from a community standpoint, they did a fantastic job of reaching out. They have just a metric shit ton of great content creators creating content. Which is fantastic, which is just going to do nothing but get the word out about this game. And I'm really, really excited for those guys, really excited for that entire team, and looking forward to the next playtest.
Quick question. Do you think they're like the first example of somebody successfully leveraging the influencer community to help launch a game successfully in Web3?
Yeah.
They had the house down in Miami. They took care of all those guys. There were Nerf gun fights. Like, they built that community.
So I can tell you what played a role in this. And this is something, so they had the leaderboard prizes, which everybody was aware of, but they were also doing content-based competitions, and these are coming from like third parties and stuff like that. So there was an incentive there to create content around this. Now, I didn't enter any of them myself personally. I did post a bunch of clips of my own volition, not as entries, but I like that. I like that they incentivize creating content, because typically you don't see games support the content side. They're so focused on the leaderboard and rewarding players that they're forgetting the content creators, or they're just paying content creators directly. And that doesn't always lend itself to genuine content, because they're literally paid for it. Entering a contest and making content creators put their best foot forward to compete against other creators, yeah, I think they should do that.
But that's because of Dr. Disrespect, right?
No. That you're thinking of Dead Drop. Dead Drop is Dr. Disrespect. Yeah. Which, I'm not gonna lie, when I started playing Shrapnel, I kind of started going, wait, so where's Dr. Disrespect's game at? Because nobody's talking about it anymore. The pains of being early and building in public. But I will tell you this, not once did I ever have matchmaking crash in Dead Drop. I had matchmaking crash the entire first day on Shrapnel. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot more eyes and a lot more interest around Shrapnel. And I think it has to do with the fact that there are, if I remember correctly, they showed up to like TwitchCon and like in-person gaming events, and they advertised the game to Web 2 gamers. And that is, they're essentially marketing themselves almost as a Web 2.5 in a sense, because you have these founders packs, you buy them directly with fiat. They are not NFTs yet. I don't know what they're doing with the founders packs. I'm not going to pretend to be knowledgeable there. I should probably look into that as somebody who has one. But yeah, I think that the audience directions for the two games are separate, and they're taking different routes that aren't necessarily playing off in Dr. Disrespect's favor. I think they're leaning heavily on his credentials and his influence as a creator, rather than actually genuinely marketing and pulling in other support. But Katz, did you get a chance to play it this weekend? And what are your thoughts? I want to know more about what your take on this is.
I'm gonna be honest. I have so many packs from giveaways, and I have yet to play it. I'm gonna be honest. I know it's shameful. I have seen many people like yourself play it. Like I rather play by curiously by seeing people play it. I love the graphics. I'm gonna be honest. I really like it. The one thing that I'm not too happy about is the maps. I'm gonna be honest. I wish the maps were a little bit better.
Really? I thought the map design was phenomenal. However, they are missing a bunch of textures, and obviously with it being pre-alpha, it's not finished.
Yeah,
And
I'm a
people
big
did point that
stickler
out.
when it comes to graphics.
Yeah, and that was something that a lot of people pointed out. However, my kind of quip back to that is I do a lot of Web 2 testing as well, and I've got NDAs with Ubisoft and EA. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but there was a game called Paragon from Epic Games, and I was a pre-alpha tester for them, and they were in the same boat. When you dropped into the map, there were a bunch of missing textures. In fact, their jungle NPCs had no models. It was literally just the default circle with the default texture on it. So that doesn't concern me yet. If we get closer to beta and the map looks like garbage, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, you guys might want to fix that. You might want to clean it up a little bit.
Well, there's two different points to that, right? There's the actual how the map looks, and then there's the structure and the layout of the map.
Exactly.
Choke points. Is there places to camp? Is it easy to go up, from a ditch into the overpass?
Mhm.
And so, as you're developing, you will start laying out like analytics tags. You'll be able to build out a heat map, and you'll be able to see where everyone died. Okay, maybe this pinch point here needs to be restructured, or a doorway needs to be put in there because too many people are just camping this hallway or camping behind this car or whatever. And that data allows you to make such a better game iteratively as you start live opsing, as you get through your alpha, as you start doing the beta test, as you go into worldwide release.
And to that point, this is where I'm going to start comparing it to Dead Drop. I know they're within the same genre. They can definitely live together and coincide together. I hold both. I support both. But the problem I have with Dead Drop is the actual design of the map itself. I spend more time looking up trying to find people who are sniping because it's so vertical. In Shrapnel, I didn't have that issue. I found all these little like secret nooks and crannies and stuff you could hide, but they're within sight. Like I know typically where somebody's going to generally come from, and that helps lend itself to a much more enjoyable experience. Whereas I'm sitting here looking down trying to loot this box and I get sniped 20 stories from above, So I think the map design itself is good, but I'm with Katz that the current the textures and the models and stuff like that, I can't wait to see the finished products, because the areas that were finished, they were, like I said in my tweet, they are honest to God, in my opinion, AAA quality when they are finished.
But
Yeah,
did you say one key stuff though? Like you have to see from the point of view of who created each game. Because Dr. Disrespect did a whole bunch of maps of Call of Duty, so he's gonna do a whole bunch of high point stuff.
Yeah, and I don't hate it. That's a personal thing. If you don't get a sniper and you're having to look 20 stories up and try to fire back with a pistol or a shotgun, it's difficult to balance around that, and I don't know how they're going to pull it off. And I think that's why with their newer map, the tower wasn't there. It was more like an apartment complex. But then there's 20 million windows that people can be shooting you from. So now he has a different problem because there's too many points of view. But I feel like Shrapnel really did well with the design. And I think, me personally at least, at the end of the playtest, I was still finding new areas that I hadn't accessed before. And I'm like, oh, this is neat. So hopefully when it's completely finished and built out, we will see that they did nail it down. But again, it's still very early. It's too hard to 100% accurately gauge right now. But what I played had me coming back. I put in literally over 8 hours of time during this play test. And like I said, I canceled plans. Once I got my feet in it, I played it for 30 minutes. I said, nope, this is my weekend. I changed my mind. I don't care about World of Warcraft for this weekend. You guys know me. I love World of Warcraft. I talk about it all the time. It's on the timeline. I put down World of Warcraft. At one point, I ended my stream. I was streaming Shrapnel. I ended the stream. I said, hey, guys, I'm taking a break. So I jumped off. I hopped into World of Warcraft. I walked around for 5 minutes and was like, I want to play Shrapnel. I went back to Shrapnel. So I'm just saying they're definitely onto something, in my opinion. I'm not saying this is some major bag holder. I won my NFT in a giveaway. I got my extraction pack from holding said NFT, and I own, I think, maybe like $7 in Shrap. So I'm not a major bag holder. I'm not a huge investor. I'm approaching this from a game first mentality. And thus far, I would argue that with the time that it was available, the ratio of amount I was interested in spent in the game has already exceeded every Web3 game I've played to date. That's just my personal opinion. Again, I was mind blown because when their first trailer came out, I was ragging on them. I'm like, the motion blur is gross. The person can't aim. This looks terrible. And then, you know, you got these 1 to 2 second clips from all the content creators. And I'm like, all I see is people running around the map. This looks boring. I want to see more. Now that I've played it, I'm a believer. They've converted me. But like I said, we've already talked enough about Shrapnel the past few weeks. I do not want to make this a shield space. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the next topic. Off the Grid being listed on the Xbox store. Now, I think this is dope because it's the first Web3 game that we're seeing listed on a console market. However, I was told some of you guys have a little information that may take the wind out of their sails. So I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to go first on this one.
Go ahead, Futters.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Cats and Justin's the one with the alphas. So,
all right, I'll go. This is great, right? Like the more distribution points you have as a game publisher, as a game studio, that's more eyeballs, that's more downloads, that's more people that learn about your game. From that perspective, it's great. From what I have heard from contacts on the Web2 gaming side is that both Sony and Microsoft are very concerned about extracting the value of whatever you are playing with from within their platform. They'll still allow you to grab the NFT, add it to your account on a PC, link your account, do all that stuff. But as far as like value extraction or receiving money or monetary instruments via PSN or Xbox Live, that is where they're currently drawing the line.
Well, I think that makes sense personally because the consoles can't support wallets. So how are you going to extract via the game to begin with?
Right.
So I think that's a technical hurdle. But we did see in those papers, on the back end, that's what he was talking about through the PC and stuff like that.
No, on the front end.
There are ways to do it, but Sony don't
Again,
allow it.
Don't have the creativity.
Yeah, they don't want the responsibility either.
Exactly. No, I agree with that. But remember, we did see in the document leaks that Microsoft was considering a crypto wallet for their consoles. So they might be that they're against it now until they figure it out later.
Those document, like I've been around, so like I remember document links when Microsoft was going to do a handheld. Like they have an R&D team that's bigger than the entire existing Web3 audience.
I knew you were going to say that.
Just jamming out ideas on paper so that they can get a patent or a trademark or a copyright and be able to own doing something. And then it goes through the business unit review and somebody at the top says yes or no, move forward. So
it can be on paper all at once until it comes to fruition. It's just on paper.
Exactly.
It was more of a joke. We kind of had this discussion when they first leaked the papers, and we brought some people on the show, and that was pretty much our general consensus. Is like, how old are those papers? Like, probably 8-10 years ago, and it never happened, so it probably isn't. But we don't know what the future holds. I'm just saying, there's possibility. Cats, what you got? You had more too.
No, the only concern that I have is that even though it's on the Xbox, it's only for the newest consoles, the X and S. It's not backwards compatible.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
That's a hurdle.
I don't think it is. I mean, kind of, but not really. At this point in the new generation's lifespan, this is about when the old consoles stop getting supported across the board, and we are starting to see that with Sony as well. So I don't necessarily think that's a big problem. I would love to see it on more consoles. But the example that I generally go to is Dust 514. If anybody's not familiar with that, it came from CCP Games, the creators of EVE Online, and they released the game halfway through the PlayStation 4's life cycle, but they released it on the PS3 and never ported it to the PS4, and it just died. The game just ceased to exist. So I don't necessarily support going back to old consoles for the sake of accessibility and a wider audience. I do think that developers should focus on newer stuff because it's going to have more longevity, and there's less dev costs in porting and trying to get everything working on the new consoles. So I agree it sucks, especially if people haven't gotten the new one. But what if they make it available through xCloud or Game Pass? That's where where I'm just saying, look what it did wonders for Power World. Like 9 million players through Game Pass alone, or on Xbox alone. That might not even be just Game Pass. So I'm just saying, if Off the Grid signs a deal with Microsoft and gets their stuff on Game Pass and xCloud, I think they're onto something.
And like, can't we just be excited? Like, this is a huge step forward. Like, we're on like a console, right? Like, I remember, how long ago was it that we were all like dreaming of the day, or like, will it ever come? There were so many questions. Like, and here we are.
I'll tell you right now. So they're just the first ones listed on console. I am aware of at least one other game, possibly two, that have console releases planned. That's Earth from Another Sun, if I remember correctly, because they are on Steam. They do have a Web 2 client. I believe that they have a console release planned in the future. On top of that, STG Football, last I heard, they are actually near a console release, like within the next couple of months, if even that. Like it's soon. So I don't know how soon. Just keep an eye out on their Twitter, but they are coming to console. I believe it's Xbox and PlayStation. And if it does well on Xbox and PlayStation, I did talk with their team and kind of like nudge them, hey, what about Switch? And they said, we'll see how it goes with the other ones because they are built in Unity, and I'm very aware that it's easy to port Unity games to Switch. So I got my fingers crossed. It just feels more
and more like we're inevitable, though. It's hard to see the progress when you're zoomed in, and it's easy to nitpick all these little things. But like, as Sam loves to tweet all the time, Web3 gaming is inevitable, and this is just like little bits more evidence on that side of the fence, right? So I'm happy.
No, this is just as awesome as like when I think it was My Pet Hooligan was like the first one on Epic Games.
Oh yeah.
This is Web3 gaming getting different distribution points available, widening the funnel, bringing users in, getting people to understand what a Web3 game should be and isn't, just like a shitty JavaScript Flash game with like a shitty economic theory stapled on it. Like, this is awesome.
Who can just make a new console that's just for Web3 gaming, like the Solana phone, but like the Web3 gaming phone?
No, please don't.
No, we're doing it. I'm doing it.
No, that is such a bad idea. And I'll tell you why. First off,
let's hear it.
Nintendo is the only one that makes profit on consoles. They are the only ones making profit on hardware sales. So
fair point.
Xbox and Microsoft already losing money with every single device sold. But they make it up with the software sales. In Web3, that is a very, very big gamble. Like, yeah, you can probably take some loss and maybe make it back on the software side. But
there's a way to do it, but I'm not gonna say it.
There's always
a way. I have a lot of answers to a lot of things in Web3.
Yeah.
If we want, we could talk on the back end because it's not something that I'm like pursuing. But I don't mind helping people pursue things that I'm not pursuing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to circle back on off grid, one thing that they could do to bypass the whole laptop stuff is that they could do a partner app on the phone.
I mean, Nintendo does that for their online services already. Why not?
And they could just do the whole transactional stuff easily on their phone.
But I actually wanted to touch on Justin's point. So he mentioned Epic Games and My Pet Hooligan. I had to go back and look at the screenshot, but Epic Games applies that blockchain tag on everything. I don't think Microsoft did that for Off the Grid. I think they're being literally advertised just like any other game on their platform.
Nice.
That could be big. I'm just saying, because that blockchain tag does deter regular gamers who are anti-NFT and anti-blockchain.
No, absolutely. It could also be that Microsoft just hasn't added that tag yet.
Don't crush my dreams early.
I mean,
Here comes some fun dream again,
Dream,
Jinky.
Harold.
right. Dream away, Jinky.
Oh man. So we also have, and this one I'm kind of excited for, Super V Labs is teaming up with the Aptos network. So I don't know nothing about Aptos. I don't care about the chain. The reason this partnership is a big deal to me is, for those not familiar with Super V Labs, it's Super Villain Labs, even though their handle is Super V, it's just because Twitter and marketing, and you know how it goes. Anyway, they actually were founded by the core team that worked over on Metapixel. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they made the Grand Saga Unlimited Web3 MMORPG. I played it. You guys know I love World of Warcraft. Another game I put down World of Warcraft to actually play in and enjoy. I really loved it. And the parent company basically pulled the plug. They were like, we don't want to do Web3 anymore. You're gone. Okay, bye. So the core team that worked on that spun up their new studio. And now we have Super V Labs, who is basically building a separate new game, whole new universe. Their current, I don't know if it's still ongoing, but I know yesterday they opened up like a free mint. You could fill out this questionnaire and kind of like get your.
What kind of villain are you? You got to find out what kind of villain you are.
Exactly.
I'm a good one, by the way.
I got a bunch of. Mine's just a bunch of pink.
Oh.
Serena,
my girl was pink. Like, I like go with the flow of the universe, and that's like so real. I was like, how do they know me that well? It's perfect. They nailed it.
I don't have any information really on the actual game they're building. They're still really early. They just formed a few months ago, if I remember.
It's gonna be an idle game.
Oh, puppy face.
It's good graphics though. It's good graphics.
There's a few idle games, especially if it's on mobile. There's a few idle games I have actually enjoyed and do like to support on mobile. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's my first pick if I've got a computer available, though. So
I would have never guessed that based on your response. I would have never guessed.
I don't know. We'll see what they build, but I think it's really cool to see the team bounce back and just keep building. Like they did not want to give up on Web3. They did not want to give up on gaming. They said, screw it. You won't support us. We'll support ourselves. And I respect the hell out of that. So I'm looking forward to whatever they build. And somebody said that they had a little Aptos alpha. Well, not alpha, more like Aptos FUD, I guess.
I declined to answer because of my position in the space.
Well,
you ain't got spill no beans.
It's not fun. Look, at the end of the day, anybody can use whatever chain tickles their pickle, if that makes sense. But my
this is a PG-rated show.
I don't know about that. The number of F-bombs we dropped here, especially with Engine. Whew.
Fair.
My thing with Aptos is that a lot of people don't know that they come from the failed Libra system of Meta.
Mm-hmm.
And their proprietary move script comes from Solana's. And then their whole chain is on a parallel blockchain, which has a lot of flaws. I don't want to get into it, but it's borderline decentralized / private. Again, I don't want to get into it because I don't know if there's going to be any legal repercussions after this video. But as a founder, whenever I come into anything, before I even open my mouth to FUD anything, I read the white paper, I read the code, I take 2 steps back, I marmalade, and I try to see where they're coming from and what use cases could maybe be done into it. But as far as I could see, at least for me, it's not my cup of tea.
So we do have a comment from Rod. Is Aptos even a thing? I mean, to be fair, there's a reason I can't really comment on the Aptos. I have not heard of anybody building over there. I do not know anything about the chain. I don't know what their market cap or
How
liquidity.
much grant money did they have to pay to get supervillains? That's what I want to know. What's the size of the grant?
That's another thing. Like another red flag to me, again, in chains in general, is when you have to pay to invite people, and when you have to be louder to let people know that your chain is better than others. And then when you have to say you're really hyped because you got a brand from Asia building under you. I don't want to say no names.
Nobody would guess.
It's usually a red flag, especially if you have to pay that game to come to you. See, when you're a real blockchain, people want to come to you. You don't have to pay to come to you.
I mean, kind of, but like, look at like cell phone carriers, for example, right? They all compete, they advertise, they promote, they make deals. Like, that's business, and you're gonna have to do that. Like, is it maybe more transparent in Web3, or should it be more? Maybe, but that's
T-Mobile paid me.
What?
T-Mobile's like, hey, you're on Verizon. We will pay your cancellation fee. We'll give you this amount of money off your phone. And I was like, bet, sign me up. I hate Verizon.
That actually happened to me too. But I went from AT&T. Are we funding
I don't disagree. Here's how I look at it. I don't care what chain you're on. I'm here for the games. You make a fun game, I'll figure the chain shit out later. I need something that actually pulls me in and makes me care about the chain later. Right now, we have too many projects that the chain doesn't even matter because nobody wants to play the game. So it doesn't matter what chain you build on if nobody's playing or interacting or using your ecosystem anyway.
And I think
go ahead.
We could also take a look at this from the other angle too, right? Like Grand Saga Unlimited was fantastic. Everyone loved playing it. Everyone was super pissed off when Metapixel shut them down. Everyone was really sad, like, that we're going to lose out a great Web3 game. Aptos jumped in and grabbed those guys. Like, it's no different than like the console exclusives we see in Web2, like where something becomes a PlayStation exclusive or a Xbox exclusive or a timed exclusive. So, the most important thing is that Supervillain maybe got funding, who knows? Maybe they got a grant, I don't know. But a great team is building in Web3 again. And that, at the end of the day, has to be celebrated.
Well, and I have to think, like, we don't care as consumers what telecom company runs our cell phone. We want it to work, but we're not financially invested in them. And Web3 is this whole different animal where it's like, well, I have a huge AVAX bag, so I'm going to support only all games on AVAX. We are the minority that is going to care about the chains. The general public of Web2 gamers, when they come into the space, it's not going to matter to them. They won't care. They'll want it to work. They'll complain when it doesn't. When my cell phone doesn't work, you better believe I'm like, God, I hate Verizon. Every time I drive through this freaking spot, it doesn't work. But other times I'm like, whatever, it's my cell phone, right?
That is true for the most part in the normal Web2 world, but then you have to take into consideration the interoperability between the chains, and that's where the issue comes in. And that's another thing that Aptos say in my research. They say they're interoperable, but when you look at the definition of interoperable, their definition does not define interoperable. They're only interoperable within their own chain.
But there's workarounds to become.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, like it doesn't.
I mean, look at Ethereum. I'm not transacting AVAX games through Ethereum. I mean, it is kind of that way. It's on the builders, the problem solvers to find ways to make them interoperability from a higher level. So I think if Aptos themselves are pitching themselves as interoperable directly with other chains, that's on them. But if they're saying we have the ability to be built interoperable, that's a different statement. So I would definitely agree with Katz to an extent. It depends on what they're trying to pitch and promote. But if they're saying that they themselves are building out the interoperability with other chains, that is probably.
No, I literally have like text verbalage. So it's black and white.
That's what I'm saying. It really depends on the verbiage.
He has notes.
Yeah.
No,
Like they need to
he's
be
prepared.
worried.
It's like I have.
But at the end of the day, like I said, I really don't care about Aptos. I care about the games that are building
No,
there. And
super
it's just-
villains. I'm all about it because I know all
Exactly.
of them. I'm actually sad that Nathan. I don't know if you know him. He's gonna like he got called to
Yep.
to the
The
nation
Korean
stuff.
draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
I was so upset about that. But the thing is, like, nobody seems to be able to escape the draft. I think it was wasn't it like one or
Like,
two members?
not even famous people.
BTS. Yeah, I think it was like one or two members from BTS got drafted. I believe it was last year, and they had to like put their tours and stuff on hold.
Even one of my famous Korean actors, Lee Min Ho, drafted 3 years. It doesn't matter if you're
Wow.
rich, poor, you're going through 3 years.
I believe
No,
they
it
said there
never
was a 96.7 conscription percentage rate. So literally 96.7% of their people end up serving in the military, whereas over here in the U.S. we have less than 1%. That's the difference.
Is that
That's
men
insane.
and women? Like, am I?
Yes. Yes.
Men and women.
Oh.
Doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, famous.
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's
And I'm glad to be an American.
but not when I'm in Web 3.
That's right. We need to take this show on the road.
Oh man, I can't believe that actually fit too. Oh my god. Oh my god. No, but I really am excited for Super V Labs. I'm glad to see Daniel and them come back and try to build their own thing. I'm really looking forward to what type of game they play. Again, the NFT art they released for this past mint, I was actually really happy with it. The character that I got, like I said, a lot of pink. If you know me, I am not you're like muscular. I'm not a manly man. I am definitely all about the pink. So thank you guys for giving me a nice little pink villain, because we're gonna take over the world. And then
That's
paint
right.
pink.
We're probably on the same
two
team.
from them.
What's that?
I got two from them. It's like a red guy and then a girl with purple, like a DJ or something.
Oh, so I think I'm actually no. We're not gonna broadcast that. But there's ways to game the system. I think I have not done it myself or tested, but I'm not gonna air it either, because if it does work, I'm not promoting it. So moving on. BattleTech. If you have not heard about this, I've been sleeping on it. I got an invite in the DMs and was like, hey, come check this out and be quiet about it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Apparently it was under embargo. Thankfully it's lifted so we can talk about it. But it looks like somebody kind of took the, what was it, Creator League? They like support your creators and get like entered for giveaways and stuff like that. They kind of ran with that idea, but in an esports direction. And they are being very transparent about it. They're not hiding the fact, you can connect your wallets and set up Faceit and all this stuff. So I think it's really cool that they're essentially creating a platform to quote unquote kickstart esports teams. And what it's doing is, as a user or a fan or supporter or whatever, you can buy passes to players, and of course, depending on how many you hold and how well the player does, you actually get a % of their winnings as a holder. So I've already had, I think, like 6 people buy my passes. Right, I'm connected to Faceit. They're about to start a CS:GO event. I believe it's tomorrow. And if I did compete and I did win any type of earnings, then a % of that actually will go to those that support me. I think that's kind of neat when you think about it, because right now, the way that the esports in Web 2 are set up is it's a lot of money to the teams, but not even the actual players. It's to the team. So like the org owners and the talent managers and stuff like that. And the players actually aren't getting as big a % as they deserve. This is a way for the fans to directly support the players themselves while still also getting a little kickback for doing so. So from my perspective as a user in the general setup that we see right now, and from my understanding, this is actually going to be a potentially neat tool. There's hints, they have not confirmed or announced yet, but there were hints on their timeline that they're signing a big South Asia esports team as well. So
Tier 1?
we don't know. That's what I'm saying. Nothing's been announced yet, but I'm just saying, if we start seeing big esports teams on this, because we have seen in terms of the larger organizations, it seems like the esports teams do have a bit more interest in Web3. You got, I believe it was Luminosity that's supporting EV. We've seen Fnatic, who was like partnered with FTX, and I think Coinbase. So the esports teams kind of pushing and partnering with these organizations is good because they have very large influence. They have a lot of followers. I'm still waiting for somebody to bring Fnatic back into the Web3 space. Obviously, after the FTX collapse, they've kind of been a little hesitant, which understandable. But hopefully, we see them come back because I'm a Fnatic fan. I'm sorry. Or C9. C9 would be okay too. But what do you guys think? Like this, some people have said this is kind of like Social-Fi meets esports, and I wouldn't quite go that far yet.
And like kind of fantasy football element a little, you know, like being able to pick, like, I love it because it like, okay, so Shamath a while ago on that Four Guys podcast, whatever it is, he talked about how like our entire economy is moving toward, it's going to be micro brands, right? Like anything that takes power away from these like corporations that try to centralize it and extract, and we'll give you your pennies. It's like, it's changing the fabric of the world economy. And I am so here for it. Like, I think everybody should make money or be like given value for the value that they contribute to ecosystems. So if you're a fan, you give value to that ecosystem. You're just going to take, like, we're going to sell you sports drinks at a sports event. We're going to sell you $22 popcorn. We're going to sell you tickets for like $300. Like, that's not irrelevant, but I'm using that as a metaphor. It's just like they take, right? And there's no participation. There's no way to earn. So by getting fans more involved, and like all of us are more interested when we have a vested interest. When I bet on a game, when I bet on anything, I'm more interested. I'm going to watch it more. I'm going to watch every second of it. So I think it's a great way to like up engagement, like engagement with the audience, give them a bigger reason to root for people and stay involved, and it'll help grow the industry as a whole. And then, you know, all the while we're rewarding creators in a more meaningful way. So I'm excited about it. Super excited.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in supporting content creators of all sizes, from the smallest guy who's just starting out to the biggest names in content creation in our space right now. There is no more. You know, when I was growing up, I could go to Safeway, I could read Nintendo Power, EGM magazine. That's how I learned about games, and that's how I knew what the next games were. Yeah. Editorial is basically dead. Like, yeah. and content creators are that next editorial level, and that's how we're gonna, as game publishers, as game studios, as gamers, that's how we're gonna learn about what the next hot game is by watching Jin Kieran or, you know, watching somebody else in the space, seeing what they're playing and saying, like, that game resonates with me. I need to learn more about it. I need to go download it. I need to get invested and start playing the hell out of it. And so
imagine somebody reading from Web3, right? Like, who does that?
Look, I'm just saying, if one more white paper gets thrown in my face before the gameplay, I'm done. I'm done. I quit.
We'll leave those for we just want to have fun. Like, there's, the nerds. Sorry, guys. I'm like a pseudo nerd. Like, but like they love that, and that like let you can have your fun with like the tokenomics and like but we just want it all to work. You know.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a huge, like, gameplay is always my North Star. Gameplay is always my North Star.
Have you looked into this at all, Cats?
No, but from what you explained that just now, like, the reason why I see it as a social-fi is the concept of, like, they need to actually buy your stuff. That's how I see
like
it as a social-fi.
Almost.
But one thing that does worry me, not the whole aspect that's supporting the content creators, but with supporting the players individually in the esports team. Now, the only reason why that might be, I'm not going to say a red flag, but like a worry, is because, again, these esports teams are still Web 2, number one. And number two, a lot of these esports teams are under contract. And anything that has to do with monetization outside their contract that they don't verbally say in the open can be a breach of their contract. And most of them, they're like in a house in a boarding like mansion with everybody, and that's the reason why all that money goes to the team instead of like individual. So that could be a worry in that
So
aspect.
I agree with you, but I think this is a good thing because you got to think about it from an individual perspective. If I'm the one that's performing the highest and my team is quite literally sandbagging my performance, I'm under contract. I'm stuck with this team. That is just how it is 100%. This allows teams to be able to monetize and bring in revenue without those contracts and without having to adhere to that. So now they have flexibility to essentially be free agents and still be profitable. So now I'm just not meshing with the team, or I feel like they're not keeping up with me, or whatever the case is, I can now move to another team and still not lose that revenue. So I think there's benefits here, but I do believe, and I agree with you. That's actually something I should probably pitch to them, that there should be like a team pass as well. Now it might be more expensive or something like that to compensate for it, but I believe that there should be the ability to support a whole team versus individuals. People love options.
So let me rephrase what I'm saying. There's no I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, what you're saying, but I'm saying that might be like a breach.
Well, they're signing these are official contracts. If they're bringing in official teams, they're doing this officially on paper. So I don't think that'll be a worry. But you brought up a point, like if I form my own team right now and everybody supports me and only me, well, the rest of my team, that's not fair to them because they're putting in work and we're carrying these tournaments together. So I agree with you. I think there should still be that option to support a whole team versus an individual. Because what if I get rid of the highest grossing individual on my team just because they're not meshing or whatever, then my whole team loses that revenue. So there's got to be a balance there, so that way the supporters can support teams and individuals, not just the individuals, because that could impact the revenue for the other players on the team. I 100% get where you're coming from, but in terms of the official contracted esports team, they're doing this all above board. There's paperwork and signatures and all that stuff. So I don't think that'll be a concern unless they're doing it behind their manager's back, which, I mean, to get a whole team signed
that's what I meant.
Manager's back, that would be difficult. That'd be difficult. So hopefully they're not doing that. I highly doubt they are, especially if they're going after one of the larger teams in South Asia. But I can definitely see the concern there. I'm pretty sure it's not an issue because, like I said, they are trying to be 100% above board and not do anything sus. But you did bring up the point that like I said, now I want the option to support a whole team. So hopefully we can see something like that.
I'm dying.
Sorry, I had to die there. But I think that would be cool. Like you could buy a team pass or a player pass. And like I said, the team passes would obviously be a bit more expensive. So that way it could be distributed to the whole team versus just one player. So that's something I will definitely pitch to their team and see if that's something they can make happen. Because if I'll tell you right now, if you tell me, hey, I can support the Fnatic team pass, I'm going to do that. But if I go over to C9, I'm putting all my money on sneaking. I'm sorry, guys. I like sneaking.
Who are you buying first? Like, who's the first pass you're going to buy? Is it Sneaky?
I have not bought any yet. I will tell you right now that obviously probably the top one right now that is not obviously BattleTech themselves, because they popped off. Everybody wants to support them and see them do some crazy stuff. But right now it looks like it's Bryson. And that doesn't surprise me. I mean, he does have a professional CSGO background. The first tournament they're running is CSGO. People are putting their money on him, hands down, and I don't blame them. And the people who bought my pass, I appreciate you, and I thank you. I am total trash at CSGO, but I
like it's a rug, but thank you.
Hang on. I promise you, when they start rolling out these League of Legends tournaments, you guys aren't ready for me to boot that client up, because I did play that one competitively. I have over 3,000 hours. I consistently placed gold. I could have gone higher, but I just wanted my skin for the season and then quit. So, but I actually played that one at DreamHack. So. What's that?
Well,
whenever they bring Apex, let me know.
They do tie in with Faceit. So I don't know if you guys caught that earlier. They tie in and they have integration with the Faceit platform, which is a Web 2 tournament platform. And they do work with a bunch of different games, including Apex, Overwatch, Call of Duty, League of Legends, Valorant, CSGO. So this is not just a CSGO platform. I want to clarify that right now. They are going to be running events for all kinds of games. There will be opportunities. If you are a competitive player in any of the games on Face It, I recommend you guys start looking into BattleTech. Sign up. If you don't have access to it, let me know. I'll get you a link. It is, I believe, invite only right now. But yes, there's going to be plenty of games, including CSGO, Valorant, like I said, all those games. I'm looking forward to League, though.
I probably have some partners for them.
Hey,
Hit 'em up.
reach out. I was about to say, if so it's being managed by Owned. I don't know if you're familiar with the Owned org, owned.gg. I believe Rex is the founder. So if you're not familiar with any of them cats, hit me up after this. I'll
Because most of my connections is Southeast Asia, YGG, blockchain space at Asia. That's all my partners. Connect them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just
when
saying,
they add in a competitive Microsoft Excel or Microsoft PowerPoint, everyone that's bought my ticket will be rewarded.
Yeah, Mario Kart,
No,
when Mario Kart hits.
no, you
It's
guys
over.
laugh. You guys laugh, but there actually have been competitive Microsoft Excel events.
No.
Yes, there have been. I believe it was for EVE Online, which doesn't surprise me. I played EVE for many years. There was a running meme. It's the spreadsheet simulator, and they did actually have an official Excel sheet competition. I am not joking. Go Google it. There's a YouTube video that it was like a speed run to who could create. It was a speed run to see who could create a functional chart to do whatever objective they set forth. So that's an actual thing, and I'm not saying no, but I don't think that's going to happen.
It's like the
here,
cup
unfortunately,
stacking.
Justin.
I'll do that cup stacking competition. Like, we'll just make a competition out of anything these days. Just kidding.
Man.
Excel's a valuable skill. Like, I am horrible at it, so kudos to you. I will lose that one also.
But one thing that I don't think people consider when it comes to esports and Web3 is the fact that you can play across borders and you no longer have to worry about waiting months to get payment. That is why you're seeing more and more esports teams lean towards Web3, because typically, I mean, you got to think of all the paperwork, and then of course the transfer rates. Like 1,000 USD is not the same as 1,000 won. So it typically does take esports players months to receive their winnings. Now it's literally like hours.
Mm-hmm.
The benefits of Web3 to esports is huge. Seeing an organization like Owned and BattleTech kind of lean into that and try to not only lean into it to support the players, but also to start supporting the audience and the fans. I think this is fantastic. I want to see how this progresses. And like I said, you guys aren't ready to catch these hands in League of Legends. I'm telling you right now, I don't know anybody in Web3
They're
that
so spicy today.
League of Legends?
Oh yeah,
I
League of
think
Legends.
I have a few people that might go with you, though. Not me personally, but I have some people.
Oh, you start finding the pros, I might be in trouble. But I'll tell you
They're
right
from
now,
the Philippines.
I was in bronze when I first started playing League of Legends, and I got picked up by a diamond team, and they were like, "Why the hell are you still bronze?" And I was like, "Because it's a team game. I can't carry four people by myself, unfortunately."
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I can, but it's
The nice thing about this is that it kind of becomes a Trojan horse for Web3 games, right? Like we all join this platform. Everyone's in Web3. We're utilizing Web3 technology, buying passes for everyone. Now we've got a seat at the table with these esports organizations. Like, where's the Web3 game? Where's Shrapnel? Where's
I was gonna say Shrapnel BattleTech win.
where's Parallel? Where's Wild Card? Where's my angry Yakuza girlfriend at these esports events? And now, I that's my hope, is that this gives Web3 a seat at that table with these esport orgs.
That's such a good point.
To say, like, we need representation. So that's my hope for this.
I got my fingers crossed.
I think you're right. Yeah.
The only thing that is new to me, and I haven't looked into it, I've never used Faceit, so I'm not familiar. I'm obviously learning as I go with this. So this system has actually encouraged me to even learn a Web 2 system, which is kind of funny. But they've even got like their own anti-cheat that you have to run during these tournaments. So like they're serious. Like they're not going to allow people to try and game the system or hack or anything like that.
Good.
And that is a problem that we've seen even within Shrapnel's recent playtest. There were people who were already exploiting hacking. Yeah, so I think that working with a platform like this that does have their own native anti-cheat and it is required to be ran to enter these tournaments is actually a good solution in the interim, of course, until games can figure it out themselves. So I'm looking forward to this. I want to see how it plays out. I don't know if I'm going to be playing the CSGO event. I'm dog water at CSGO, but League of Legends, catch me there. You guys aren't going to be able to handle me on the Rift. So, anybody have any other news or any other topics they want to talk about? We are at the top of the hour. Final thoughts, shoot them.
Pleasure as always. Nope. It was a good one, guys. It was a good one. I love the energy.
We were kind of rushing through it. I was starting to think, oh no, we might actually need another topic. But no, the BattleTech ran about as long as I hoped. So we are looking good. Nobody, again, closing remarks? Anything?
No, always a pleasure to be on the show with you.
I love it
actually
and
had
I
fun.
appreciate it. Cats,
We
I'm
love
glad we
you,
got
Tinky.
over here. We tried to get Cats on the show before, believe it or not, but he was trying to join from McDonald's, and we know how public Wi-Fi is. So I'm glad we could get you for real this time. I was so happy. So, and Justin, of course, thank you for the short notice joining us. Please don't drop everything for me next time.
Hours. 25 hours notice at least next time.
No. I like I said, I would drop. I completely moved my schedule around and told everyone like I have to be on this. So
He had a board meeting and he's like, "No, guys, this is more important."
no board meeting today.
Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be a wrap for us, folks. This is another great episode of the Block Sauce. But before we come to a close, of course, I have to say thank you one more time to our fantastic panelists for taking the time out of their day and their week to join us and just kind of shoot the shit, essentially. I mean, like this is good. We all have differing backgrounds, which means we get to provide different input and insight into all of these situations, and that's what we strive for here. We're not looking to build an echo chamber or anything like that. So again, thank you guys. Love your faces. Remember, the sauce never stops flowing. Stay connected with us on social media. Follow us, The Block Sauce, on Twitter. We're still not advertising the website. It looks like that's still undergoing an overhaul. So no website link for you today, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe next time. But that's going to be it for us today, sauce enthusiasts. Tune in next time for another thrilling episode of The Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3. Thank you and have a good one.